It's funny, Charles. Stinko de Mayo. No shortage of things going wrong at that. It is like the Millennium Falcon. I'm in here punching the hyperdrive, and when you hit the button, it goes.
That's right. No, this is a superb poster and a shambolic moment in American history. I mean, what's happening to, I think, the public at large is the people who are determined to destroy America realize that we're all too fucking polite, that we put up with this bullshit.
I'm not too polite.
Most of us, the preponderance of us are polite. And we listen and we look in stunned and amazed wonder at this guy, the president, in name only, who is walking around, away from wherever he should be.
Yeah.
And he gave out this Presidential Freedom of Medal, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, come on. I mean,
that's what he called it.
No, the Presidential Freedom of Medal. Was it MEDAL or METAL? And this is supposed to be something that is given not to only followers of the president's party. I mean, he gave it to this absurd douchebag, Al Gore, who, I mean, his father was a douche.
I should have put him in there.
You did put him in there.
Well, R2-D2?
No, he's the tree in the back.
Yeah.
His father was a crook. He's an idiot. Al Gore gets a D in environmental science at Harvard.
Did he?
Yep. And he wins the Nobel Prize for climate change bullshit, setting up a climate change consulting operation from which it's rumored he made $500 million. He gets, he gives a sickening, I don't know if you were watching TV back then, but at whatever it was, I guess the 1996 Demon Rat Convention, he gets up there and there are allegations that he's not warm enough. No, it must have been the 2000 Democratic. He's not warm enough, and he's not
robotic.
He's not reading well. So he gets his then wife, Tipper Gore, and they lock lips on camera for 90 fucking seconds.
Weird.
Neither of them enjoying it, and the audience just goes, "Ooh, but I don't want to see that."
Yeah.
And so he gets one. John freaking Kerry, the man who likes to throw medals away, he gets one. Nancy, the insider trader, Lush Pelosi, the best speaker of all time. I mean, why don't you posthumously give a medal to Al Capone?
I think I don't get the joke about throwing medals away.
Well, yeah, John Kerry when at Yale, after he went to Yale, and actually good on him for going into the military. Most people did not do that of his vintage. But while he was there, apparently in fighting in Vietnam, he was rich enough that he had some guy taking movie footage of him, to show how heroic he was, and he's on these boats, and he gave himself 2 Purple Hearts for getting dinged in the ass, whatever. And then he goes and he negotiates in uniform in Paris.
Right.
Behind, I mean, that is, talk about a Logan Act violation.
Right.
I have it on good, I can't say who, but on very good authority that prior to the 2004 election, there's a major newspaper that is not as big as the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times that had conclusive evidence that Harvard Law School turned Kerry down for law school because they didn't think he could get past the bar for what he did in Vietnam.
Really?
They sat on this right before the election. I was aware of this. I was meeting with this, and I said, why did you freaking publish this? It was an election moving event. Oh, no, we can't.
What's with that?
Yeah. So, I mean, John Kerry, the only thing authentic about John Kerry is his douchebaggery. I mean, there's nothing.
His hair might be real. He's always had good hair.
I doubt it. It's probably like fucking plastic or something. And then, Michael Yo, I mean, the Presidential Freedom of Medal is supposed to go to an American.
What did she get it for? I thought it was an Academy Award. Why does she get a freedom?
Well, for her service to Asian Americans.
Doing what, though?
She's not an American. She's Asian. She's Malaysian.
She's not.
She lives in Switzerland. I mean,
oh my God.
What is he? I mean, this is like. I mean, I think she's a great actress. Well, you're supposed to say actor, I suppose. But she really is. Especially in Crazy Rich Asians, she plays the mother.
But that's why you get the Academy Award.
And she did. She got an Academy Award in 2022 for some movie I've never heard of and won't see, most likely.
Wasn't it Everything, Everywhere, All the Time or something like that?
Some name like that. And then here you have Mark Hamill. Look, I liked the original Star Wars.
Yeah, but he's a douche now.
But that was a while back. And, to sit there at Latrine Jean-Pierre, who has to be the worst press secretary in the history of there being press secretaries. I mean, she's a complete liar. idiot who doesn't prepare and has been caught out time and time again. For her to like be gushing like a little schoolgirl in love, with this Hamill, and then to say, "Oh, I've got a better idea." Instead of me leading the press conference, why don't I have Mark Hamill do it? He was good at the movies.
Knows even less than me.
Did she get his autograph? Did she get a Star Wars thing signed by him? I mean, and Biden. I'm sorry. Cite some examples of boxers who've been punched in the face too many times. I mean, was it who was the guy?
George Foreman.
Was it Foreman who couldn't talk for a while?
Oh, Michael Spinks, maybe? I don't know.
It was one of those guys. It's just Biden has been punched in the face figuratively so many times. Keep that guy away. This is a man who, a lot of nuclear-armed nations around the world are looking at Joe Biden and saying, how can we take advantage of this people?
Yeah.
It is clear that if there were a new stress to the global system and Biden had to be in the Situation Room, the first thing they have to do is turn him right side up, make sure his pants are clean. But he's not going to be able to come to a quick decision at 2:00 in the morning on some stress fracture involving China and Taiwan.
He's not able to come to it. It's like having a turtle come to a decision. It doesn't have the capacity.
It would be like, Mr. Bean in those scenes where somebody's got a bowl of applesauce and he's got a spoon and he's got his hand like this, Jason. You see him trying to head towards the applesauce and put it up in his, is it going to go in his pants? That's Joe Biden.
Keep in mind, anywhere I'm looking, I see 3 different images of you.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's so wrong.
I realize sometimes it looks like I'm not paying attention, but that's when I'm actually paying the most attention.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I just didn't know.
But one other thing I wanted to tell you about this image, Charles, because the strictest Sunday with Charles fans will say that's not a movie poster, because it's not strictly making fun of any particular Star Wars movie. But first of all, even before we get involved with Joe Biden, who is incredibly stupid, I agree.
And dangerous.
I don't know where the hell it came from that suddenly Star Wars is a holiday. I fundamentally reject that. I don't like May the 4th.
How do you like June 19th?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Everything becomes a holiday. Cinco de Mayo, that's fine. That's a holiday in Mexico, I believe. And so Mexicans who are in America celebrate that. And we have enough Mexican Americans now that it becomes a holiday that we sort of recognize. But I reject this Star Wars Day fundamentally. And also the other funny thing is, this is the actual picture of Mark Hamill from going to visit Joe Biden. He looks like he got hit in the head with a brick.
It's like, I have to do this again?
When you look for pictures of Joe Biden walking away confused, there's a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite a few to choose from. But yeah, this should have been Al Gore instead of this guy. I don't know. He's just another guy who looked like this dude from Star Wars. And of course, Nancy Pelosi as Chewbacca.
Right. Well, on the subject of excessive holidays, I mean, one of the ways, my kids are well grown at this point, but one of the ways I weaned them off soda was a very devious approach, which, I don't know, came to me somehow, that we had this regular routine that on the final day of school, they went to the same school. At the beginning of summer, we would go direct from the school to the grocery store. And I had a big SUV. And I said, this is what we can do. We'll fill this SUV up with soda. As many cases as you want. We're going to have the whole fucking thing is going to be filled with soda. You go wild, kids. And we filled this thing up with soda. Orange, the worst possible soda. Orange soda, Hawaiian Punch, Mountain Dew.
And then they drank it all and just got sick of it?
No, they didn't drink it all. It's the beauty of it. They got sick of it there's so much, they got sick of it. And, by about end July, they're like, can we have some water, Daddy? Can we have some? Yeah. And that's similar. When you have every day's a fucking holiday, then nothing is special.
A holiday. Right.
And that's the problem with these people in Washington, D.C. There is no accountability. And that's, I think, by design. In any government operation, they can say, when it fucks up, they get the press to cover and say it was a success, and they give an award ceremony.
Yeah.
When somebody finally says, no, this is a monumental fuck up, they say, well, that's old news.
Right.
Or then they resign from office and they go off and they become a distinguished professor at Harvard, or head of a think tank, or, whatever. Work for Teneo, work for some investment firm, some crooked investment firm somewhere. And that, the people in America, and I think in richer countries, the backbone of those countries I think is the group of people who are actually providing products and services, and or who have capital and are trying to invest in companies that provide a growing stream of dividends, or invest in bonds that pay the interest back with principal on time. They're actually the mass of humanity is actually in that place of trying to be responsible. Then you have chaos, and I want to get into a little bit of that here. I mean, every time I leave the country and I come back,
there's more chaos.
It's worse. I mean, just now, how much abuse can I take? I go in the morning to my breakfast place, another breakfast place. I'm sitting there minding my own business, and all of a sudden this woman starts, babbling. And then I realize she's filthy, and she's a bum, and she's in this place, and the guy behind a small little place, deli, and this nice guy, I think he was some kind of Islamic guy. I think it's owned by Islamic people, this place is a deli. And he says, "Excuse me, ma'am, you've got to leave now." And it has a sign saying you can't be there for more than half an hour. So she's there, like babbling and filthy, and won't leave. And there's another bum behind, like a guy who's probably not a bum. He's got like the Sunday New York Times out. He's going to stay there for 6 hours and drink one small coffee.
Like Sudoku.
Like to do the crossword puzzle, right? Let me do it again in Arabic. But, and then before she leaves, she stands up and she shuffles over, stinking, to my table and some other potato. "Please, sir, can I have some money?" And fortunately, somebody else said, "Get out of here." And she left. So then I go back to my apartment. Eventually, I actually took a nap to make sure that because I'm still on Asian time,
right?
Just 12 hours different. I feel great. Come back out onto the subway, and at my station, there's a filthy white guy with a sign. I get on the subway. There's a filthy black guy comes on 14th Street and slides by me, and people are going to get out of his way. He reeks. I get back out of 23rd Street, and there's this guy, in the Hobo Olympics, jumping the turnstile, at the last second, like breezing by me. Then I go up the thing, and there's another bum with a sign. Then I come up the top of the steps near the pizza place. There are two bums with signs. The place is falling down. The Village Cigar Store, which is an icon in the village, gone.
That's really crazy.
The liquor store that I used to talk about, it was a really nice liquor store near me, gone. This is all in the last. In fact, I was in that liquor store. I want to say the day it was gone. I was in the afternoon. I was there, and I bought something, and I said to the young guy I know there who works for the owner, "That's actually totally gone now." I said, "How are things? Everything good?" Because the owner is sick. Everything. "Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir." The next day, the fucking store is closed.
53-year-old regular who's been coming to the store since 1998. I didn't even know they were closing.
The Village Cigar Store was an icon when I moved to New York City in 1959.
Yeah, I mean, it's like anytime you see a shot of the West Village, that thing is in it.
And it used to be actually, it doesn't, now it sells nothing, but it used to sell all manner of actual cigars.
Right.
And weird cigarettes and
now
lighters.
Just magazines and booze.
Now it's empty.
Well, right. They had one of the Indians, a wooden cigar store Indian standing there for a while.
Yeah, and another one like that on 8th and 6th. That used to be, I think, Lamston's or something like that. Some store like that. But it is normal for stores to go out of business in neighborhoods, but the degree to
all of them?
Yeah, not all of them, exactly. And these are, most of these buildings, you see how small that building is.
Yeah, who are they going to rent that to? That can be nothing but a little cigar store.
They'll pay off the wax-head idiot who's mayor, and they'll get the zoning changed, even though it's not supposed to be changed, and they'll put up a 40-story building. They'll amalgamate all that stuff in time. It's just, there comes a moment in time, I think I've told you this privately, but when I was in high school playing tennis in the summer, in tournaments, I had one scenario where I was playing somebody who was cheating. He was literally, I could see my ball go in and it wasn't close, and he's out. And then when he was like George Soros, foot faulting when he served, 6 feet over the line, which is a big deal. And I just reached a point where I said, "That's it. I'm done. I'm not playing. I don't care if I lose. This isn't a game. This is a setup. This is a crook. Let him pretend that he won. He didn't win. I'm just forfeiting. And similarly, I think in this game of crooked life, a lot of people, there's a new poll out, I told you about it, Rasmussen poll, that has Trump up by 10 points. And I don't think that's a electoral college, district by electoral college, or state by state poll. I think it's a national poll. When you look at Robert Kennedy's position, at Democrats, many of them, there are stupid Democrats and there's stupid Republicans. I'm thinking of Matt Schlapp as an example. How he's got to be stupid to do what he's been doing. But people looking around, the key states, New York and California are two very key states. If Biden does not win either one of those, he will not win re-election. If Michelle or whoever replaces Biden, because I don't think Biden is going to stay in as the nominee at this point. You may as well put in Red Skelton, resurrect him, the comedian who was played a slobbering drunk. So I actually think New York and California are in play because Kennedy is such a big name in New York and California. And all Kennedy has to do is be the protest vote that gets, I would say 7% of the vote.
I think he's going to easily do that.
And meanwhile, with Trump's being, they thought they were being really smart confining him here to New York, but actually he's coming across as a likable guy with a lot of common sense. And in contrast, everyday Joe Biden looks like the moron that he is. So there is a chance in New York, I don't know California as well as New York, but outside of Manhattan and portions of the Bronx, Albany, and some other college towns in New York State, there's a big number of people who hate this shit that's going on with Hochul and Adams and Biden. And remember, Bloomberg won as a Republican governor, Pataki won as a Republican governor, Reagan won New York twice.
Yeah.
Again, it was a different population mix back then, a different set of scenarios. So, this Stinko to Mayo, I hope Biden has the worst case of the runs that penetrate all of his diapers from whatever food he's having tonight.
I don't think he can even walk, much less have a case of the runs.
Yeah, but
just back on Trump for a second, Charles, I have a feeling that the lawfare scumbags who are doing this, we've said this many times, they've got when you only have a hammer, every problem needs to be a nail. And, this is like a hex head screwdriver that they just don't have the tool for, and they're banging it and it's not going in.
Right.
Because if you have to isolate somebody to prevent them from campaigning, let's see, should we make him stay in the most media-centric town in the world? That'll definitely prevent him from being on the national stage.
Well, not only that, why I advised through people I know who are close to Trump, I said back in 2016, make the Democrats contest these states because they're taking them for granted and the media is very expensive. Trump is able to do all this without spending money on ads. In contrast, who cares about, if this shitbag had had a rally in, let's call it, New Paltz, near New Paltz, New York.
At the Jeep dealership.
Trump style rally. How many people would show up? You can even provide buses from the SUNY campuses.
Free Jeeps and people still didn't want to go.
Right, I'm just saying, but right, you could go to these crooked colleges and say, all right, you finished the year. These students are unemployable. They probably don't have summer jobs. We will pay them to go to Biden rallies. I would guess these students wouldn't show up, and if they showed up, they'd be stoned out of their minds.
Yeah.
There's no authentic support for this idiot Kerry and this moron Biden and this collection of morons. There's no authentic support. Even Adam Schiff, he goes, goes to do a fundraiser out in San Francisco. They steal his clothes, and he shows up. There's everything's fine in San Francisco.
But then somehow they community noted that and were like, oh no, he didn't get robbed.
Oh, right.
I was like, what are you talking about? They stole his stuff. Like what? Right. It wasn't community notes. It was some big Twitter account said, that's a lie. He didn't get robbed.
Right.
But he said he got robbed. Like, how is stealing his stuff? Because I think they were
he does lie.
Getting into the technicality of what a robbery actually is.
Oh, I know. He didn't rob. I just found myself with fewer clothes than I came with. Come on.
Like what?
But then, you think about, again, I have no experience putting videos together and commercials together, but if I were Trump, what I would do now is I would take, I would kind of do one of these funny things where I'd say, we're very concerned at the Trump campaign about the surging support for Joe Biden. And then I'd cut to that idiot steelworker ad about, I've met Joe Biden, he's sharp as a tack, this and that. And then I'd just do outtakes from this presidential Freedom of Metal ceremony.
Freedom of Metal.
Sharp as tack, sharp as a tack.
Yeah. RFK had a pretty, well put together video that he put out. I guess this morning I saw it. Yeah. Or maybe yesterday.
30 minutes?
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of a little mini documentary about him.
30-23, Jason?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you never know.
33.
There are a lot of questions about Robert Kennedy. And anyway, that's for another show. But he put out this video this morning, and it talks about how he was, helping to save the river and all this kind of stuff. And for a minute, I thought that was him wearing a costume. Wouldn't that be funny if he just interviewed a lot of people who are supporting Robert Kennedy and it was all just him in different costumes?
That's right.
But he's talking about how when he was a kid, doctors were promoting cigarettes. And, obviously everybody is very concerned about the censorship industrial complex. But the sad thing is, Charles, in many ways, and I'm not giving up the fight against that reprehensible thing, but they're already on to the next thing, which is the artificial intelligence industrial complex and doing all kinds of fake shenanigans to control that. I'm back to being reinstated here on Twitter. Now, you cannot access Twitter for some reason right now, right?
I just have chosen not to. I've been out and about. The short version, which will showcase my technological stupidity, is that I signed up long ago in 2009 with a different email. And to try to, I thought I switched it to my present email, but I forgot my password. And anyway, I'm having difficulty getting back in there.
So there is some way, there is a chat here on Twitter that people can get to. I don't know if people, we've got 45 people watching on Twitter. So thanks for that, for everybody following on Twitter. We're going to be going into the First Amendment Forum in just about 2 minutes here, Charles. So people are going to be able to join us there on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth. I'm really encouraging people to join Odyssey because it's the most economical way that people can support the show. And I save money by eliminating, all these different services that I need to use. So it's only $3 a month for people to sign up, plus a 58-cent Odyssey fee. I like that too, that they're open, like, hey, you're paying us 58 cents and Jason $3. And it's a great way for people to save money, support the show. It's also become the largest repository for legacy content. And I know that's something that you have always been rightly concerned about. The reason I haven't been able to keep up with keeping that stuff loaded on a YouTube channel or a Twitter thing is that there's just the social engineers keep attacking that stuff and taking it down. So there's something about Odyssey that's proving harder for them to do, which is another reason why I encourage people to support that platform. They can also go to crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, which is great because they've got the Twitter coup on there, and that's free for people to read. I don't want to distract from our show today, but there's been an important development, speaking of the Twitter coup, in my lawsuit against Twitter, the City of New York, the NYPD, and Elon Musk. And evidence is weighing in favor of Elon Musk being not honest.
Right.
Not sure yet, but seems to be. I'll do a show about that maybe this week. People can also support the show on subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We got 1 minute left here, Charles. What else do you think people are going to want to hear about?
Along those lines, and we don't have a team to go back through now the library of how many 800 shows or whatever.
Maybe more.
Right, but the thing is that I would guess, for example, the DASAC testimony this week, the stuff that we identified 3 or 4 years ago in depth, and that I think is some of the merit of subscribing to the paid side of the channel. We tend, by luck or whatever, by design perhaps, to get to the meat of important issues well before the mainstream press. And we provide this way and in other ways, we provide you access to details so you can look at the facts for yourself, form your own conclusions, and actually find the truth, something you're not going to find on NBC, CBS, ABC, and these other mainstream corporate-owned, quote, media operations.
Thank you, Charles. I agree. And with that, people will be able to join us in just a few minutes on the First Amendment Forum. People say Elon part of the New World Order. I believe yes. And I think he knows everything that I know about Twitter and is pretending that he doesn't. Because it comes down to this, Charles. You and I discussed this offline. Whenever there's a big, super obvious, not answered question, and the people surrounding that question are like otherwise very smart, that's a problem. Right. And people are going to remember at first, Twitter said, oh, no, you can't buy this. We're going to enact this shareholder poison pill to prevent you from buying it. And then it switched to, oh, now you have to buy it. And Elon Musk didn't even say, well, what did you do to it? Right. He just thought. So something's wrong. But we'll be right back.